All right, welcome to today's episode. Today we're going to talk about partnership marketing strategies, everything from affiliates, influencers, and performance-based marketing that's going to drive more traffic, more sales, more revenue for your business, and maintain profits. Okay, so if you don't know anything about affiliates, this is for you. And even if you are into the affiliate world, I'm going to give you some game changer categories on how to diversify how you make money with affiliates. So let's get into it. The first thing I'm going to say is I was thinking of the story behind why it was so important for me to share these things with you and why this is going to be the theme of the podcast on how to monetize your business through affiliates. This is my background. However, in 2015, I was only driving through one source of truth of affiliate traffic, which was direct response affiliates. People with email lists that were emailing people the products and they're making a commission. And it was going really good. Had a good book of business. I was doing some really amazing things with some clients at the time. Problem was the company I joined had some really aspirational goals to hit. And the problem with email affiliates sometimes is that if they're not renewing their list enough, the business dies down. And I had no other way to make money for the business. There you go. I could get fired because why do I need Joey if he's not driving more traffic to the business? So it got me thinking, I need more ways to diversify my business as far as affiliates and traffic, which is the world that I know. So today I'm going to introduce you to direct response affiliates and the traditional affiliate model for that. And then I'm going to introduce you to the 4 other segues of affiliates that I started to go into. And it starts with a different funny story I'm going to share in just a second. But the first thing I want to share is something of value. I want to bring one partner up profits power move to each of these episodes. And my goal is to get to 101, whether it's my power move or somebody I'm interviewing. And it's to add value to your life, to make better networking connections, and just in general, make more business through partnerships. So the one I have for you today, it's a boring one. It's simple, but not everyone's doing the basics. And the basics are what makes up success. First thing I want you to do is make a list of all the affiliates or potential affiliates that you think you can get in your business and start to keep them in an Excel sheet, a Google sheet. It doesn't have to be a big paid platform, just something that tracks them. Keep track of everything from their names to their emails to notes about them, their dog's name, anything that's going to be relevant and on a personal level. And if you want to go a little bit deeper on this, if you have a list, get it into a CRM of some sort, customer relations management tool, and put them on an email list. Update them as you have promotions, as you have updates of the business, and have regular check-ins into that system so that every 4 weeks you're checking in with your top tier affiliates, and every 6 weeks you're checking in with your second tier, third tiers, etc. So you want to create levels to the connections, but that's a power move today. Create a list and start to nurture that list immediately. Now let's get into a story back to podcasts. Podcasts, of course, have blown up quite significantly over the past 5 years, and they've been around for a long time. But around 2017, 2016, when I thought, again, thinking I was going to get fired, I had no more value to add to the business, I said, how else can I generate more business? I had a meeting with our CEO, and bless him for introducing me to podcast ads. So at the time, we sat down on a call and he said, hey, listen, we're going to do podcast advertising. I want to start getting into this. I see it as a way of the future. And I was like, cool. But thinking to myself, I actually had no idea what a podcast really was. I knew it was like a show, but I thought it was really not mainstream and that people weren't really listening to them. So what did I know? At the time, of course, I said, yeah, we're going to do that. Okay. I went back home and I started researching podcasts and ads. So I had no idea what I was doing in this world. And you might have heard me say it before. I didn't have a cell phone until I was like 25. Okay. Really late start to the tech world. So the point is, I started researching podcast ads, and this was the evolution of affiliates. Now, affiliates and podcast ads, people could say, well, it's not really an affiliate deal, but it can be. It's an extension of a business. When I think affiliates, I think of just partnerships in general, where I'm either commissioning them or paying them for an endorsement that is not our own traffic being generated through our own list or our own customers. So fast forward, we landed a whale. An amazing podcast after 2 to 3 years of outreach. Really, it took a long time to get this person. But in the meantime, we did a lot of things in podcast ads, learned a lot. So when it was time to actually go on to the main show of the podcast, we were ready for that. Podcast ads was a big one. But I'm going to go through right now the first evolution of things. Every partner is an affiliate, but not every affiliate is the same. So the key question you want to ask whenever you're looking for affiliates and how to categorize them is what's their primary source of revenue or their primary platform? We're going to talk a lot about this in future episodes, but just know that not everyone is as impactful on one platform as another. One example, somebody might have a great podcast, but their social following isn't as strong as their influence through their podcast ads. So I always want to make that distinction when I'm looking at partnerships. Partnership strategy number one, affiliate marketing. Direct response affiliates, email affiliates, people that can run ads and drive affiliate links to your site, get a commission, and make you money. The first thing to think about is networks. Where are the majority of affiliates hanging out? There's a whole bunch of networks that I'm familiar with, and there's an ever-growing database of new networks, but there's ClickBank, there's Digistore, there's MaxWeb. These are marketplaces of existing products where people can go shop for a product to promote, and people can actually push their product onto this network to get it promoted by affiliates and get it in front of a lot of people. So these are established networks, and that's primarily what I started my entire career. And it's great because they do the work for you. Yeah, they take a transaction fee for doing all this, of course, and they host their own processing and payouts and they handle analytics. So I think they should be compensated, but there is that compensation factor. And when you're thinking about affiliates, continue to maintain abundance over scarcity mentality. Don't think, I don't want to pay that transaction fee. I don't want to pay affiliates that much. It's in your best interest, provided you know what your customer acquisition cost is and that you're not losing money. Or even if you are losing money, sometimes you can make it back within 7 days, 30 days, 60 days. But you have to know your numbers, and I would just encourage you to be abundance mentality, not scarcity, meaning you give the lowest payouts and that you don't want to pay anybody, so you're doing manual payments. Don't do that. It's just not worth it. Now, there's two ways that you can pay affiliates. There's actually three. Rev share, which is just you're giving them a cut of the revenue. If it's a $100 product, you have 30%, you're going to give them $30, and then you maintain whatever's left over at transaction fees and whatever else is going to be eating at your bottom line, right? There's always those monsters eating up your money. The second way to pay them, CPA, cost per acquisition or cost per action, where you're paying a flat rate for a sale. And again, you have to decide, and I've got tools on how you can do this. If you go to partnerprofits.com, I have a toolbox and I've got courses so I can actually help you walk through this. But anybody that knows their numbers, you should be able to understand how to pay someone on a rev share or commission basis on a CPA, where you've already established, if I pay them $90, I will make X amount and I'm happy with that take home money. Okay. So action step here is just research a few networks. Research ClickBank, research Digistore, research MaxWeb. Some of these are invite only, but there are some that are public, and you can go ahead and start to see what it takes to get your product onto a network. Now, the second category of affiliates, social influencers. Okay, and of course, this is a big one, right? There's so many content creators coming out. It's going to continue to evolve, and everyone's going to eventually just not have a fan base because everyone's going to become a content creator. Maybe, I don't know, maybe that's a wild idea, but I really want you to just think about social influencers on the level of how can they attract more business to your brand or your product. They're the same as affiliates. They can be paid on a revenue share commission basis, on a cost per acquisition, which is just like a flat rate, or the beautiful deal you want to make is a hybrid deal. And people could say it's a mixed deal. There's all these different words. I use the term hybrid. What does hybrid mean? If you find the perfect partnership and people that value your product and want to see you succeed and not just line their own pockets with money, you're going to want to get somebody on a rev share basis, and you're going to want to get a discounted flat rate of what they normally offer to do a post for you. Okay, so that's the hybrid deal. So commission, cost per acquisition, and in the middle, you got your hybrid where you each kind of get a cut of the pie. Now, the other things to consider with influencers, of course, is that they're speaking on behalf of your brand. So you've got a bit more of a brand equity type of brand awareness deal happening too. You have to factor that in, and it's not the choice that people usually want to make. They just want to see revenue come from influencers. But you have to consider that there are other plays you can do with influencers, including you can leverage their assets. If they have a picture of your product with them, if they've got a video ad that you can put into Facebook ads or Meta ads, Instagram, etc., you can repurpose their ads through whitelisting or creator licensing. And you can do UGC videos, user-generated content videos with that. And they become an extension of your marketing team to some degree. So it's not just about revenue. You have to really understand what's the purpose. Why am I going after influencers? And oftentimes it is a mixed bag. It's going to be everything from collecting assets, marketing, visuals, photos, as well as getting intros to new influencers and just increasing your brand awareness and your brand equity. But of course, they do make money, and you can too through using them. You just have to understand the key is it's not hard to find influencers. It's hard to analyze them. And again, I've got frameworks. I've done this for so many years now that when I look at it, it's like when Neo looked at the Matrix, back in the Matrix, if you guys, I'm aging myself right now. But at the time, he was the only one that could see it. So I feel like sometimes you have to have a trained eye in this, and it can be scary trying to work with influencers if you have no idea how to do it. So I get it. Now, let's keep going down the line though. We've got podcasts next, which is, You could consider it an extension of influencers, but I consider it its own category. So category 3 is podcast advertising. Now, a couple things to mention on podcast ads. It is for people who have cash. Now, I'll explain a little bit what I mean by that because it can be costly. You can go about this on the affiliate route, meaning if you have podcasters that maybe haven't made it big yet, especially if they haven't got like a broker representing them or an agency, and if they love your product, and especially if you can get on an interview with them and you talk well and you can explain the product well, sometimes they'll do a commission deal, a revenue share, affiliate, straight up deal. Oftentimes you're gonna have to pay though. And paying for something could be paying for an interview or paying for ads. Ads could be pre-roll, mid-roll, or end-roll, just the placement of when those ads go. And then there's dynamic versus what I call like baked in or static. So sometimes they sell ad space like real estate, almost like you're staying at a hotel for a week. So the ad stays live for 7 days. That's dynamic versus static. It's like evergreen. It's baked into their episode. And of course, that's the one you want. But recently it's been making a shift towards dynamic. So it's really a mixed bag of things. But I would say that just consider that podcast advertising is much trickier to get into. But if you've already established yourself as a brand, if you have the right partners, if you've got a bit of cash flow, okay, you do need some cash flow on this because it's not an instant return, then I would suggest trying to get into this, although it is a bit of a niche affiliate category. Now, let's move into category number 4 for affiliate partnership strategies, YouTube content creators. If you haven't guessed it already, YouTube is becoming the next big thing, both in edutainment, they say, education and entertainment. YouTube is the go-to place to find instructional videos, reviews. So of course, like when I talked about category 2, which was influencers, YouTube is an influencer. But again, I consider YouTube content creators an entirely separate category for the reasons that I'm going to lay out. You can also do ads with YouTube creators. And I'm not talking pay-per-click ads or PC ads. I'm talking literally somebody's going to do a video on, let's say, their recent dog experience with this kennel and their hotel or whatever. You could, if you have a dog product, you could get them to do an advertisement for your dog bones if that's what you're selling at the beginning of the video. Again, pre-roll, mid-roll, and end-roll are the typical placements. And for these videos, from what I know, it's usually baked in, but there could be some dynamic components of this in the future. That's like an endorsement type of deal. And those work too. And they can even do longer episodes on those things. And this is the one that I would caution you that if anything, I would try to get them set up to do a full content creation video and a story behind your product where it's like a 10-minute review video or something of more content, more meaty, rather than just a, hey, I saw this product and I like it, go use this code. Again, that works as well. It does. But at the same time, the other videos that they can create for you, they live on. Look at someone's YouTube channel. And look at like the history sometimes. And there's sites you can actually check out where you can see the growth of that video. It's incredible. It's a long tail dividend for you as an investment. YouTube content creators, that's the next big thing for you. So I would really recommend trying to find them. And the key to finding YouTube influencers, and we're going to go into a whole bunch of ways you can do this, like where we literally dig in for a 60-minute episode on how to find YouTube content creators the right way. Find people who haven't broken into the mainstream yet. So you want to find those people that aren't making videos that have 10 million views on each video, because they're probably the untouchables. You want to find people that have had some good success, know the game, like things are going well for them, and you can see that a couple videos are hitting, but that they haven't cracked the code necessarily on the whole thing just yet. That was number 4, YouTube content creators. Number 5, full integration omni-channel partnerships. This is by far my favorite. It's the lowest hanging fruit that nobody's picking off the tree. The first thing I would say is that you want to test as much as possible with single channels or single affiliates before moving on to the strategy, which is why I saved it for number 5. But here's where things get interesting and things start to compound. If you're an investor and compounding interest and all those things excite you, then this should excite you as well. Okay, for those of you who don't know anything about that, including myself, still get excited. This is what it breaks down to. Think of partnerships like a wheel. There's spokes in the wheel. There's different ways people can monetize. If somebody starts as a direct response affiliate, but hey, they also have a social channel because they've got a beautiful face, they're great on camera, and they're highly engaging, great. Do some affiliate deals first with them. Move on to social influencer deals. Hey, they got a podcast. Do a podcast deal with them. Oh, they have an event coming up. Why not sponsor the event? You want to develop full integration, omni-channel partnerships as much as possible with the right people when it makes sense. It's not to say you can do this with every single affiliate or every partnership channel that I'm recommending today. It's about looking for those types of things. So what I like to do is I develop what I call a 360 deal wheel, where I just visualize this all the time. And I've got it printed on my desk and it's on my screen when I'm looking at partnerships. And I'm asking my teams, what else could we do with them? What else is coming up? What other trends could we try? This is the most impactful because think of it this way. You've already established a relationship with that person. So why not ask for more deals? They'll probably start to give you volume deals and discounts on their flat rates. And if you're working on a commission basis, it's in their best interest to want to promote you more to make more money because they've already also put in the work with you as a brand, as a product, as a relationship. So this is my favorite one to do. The one caution I would do is say start slow and test horizontally before scaling vertically. But I won't go all in on someone just because they did an affiliate email blast for me, meaning they sent to their email list and then they have a podcast. Hey, I'm going to definitely sponsor their podcast. I'm going to do my research because as I said before, not every partner is as impactful on every one of their platforms. So somebody even who's got a brick and mortar business, as an example, they might have a great clientele that they refer a lot of people to you, but they have a podcast. I might not pay them the same amount for their podcast because it's not as impactful. So the takeaway for point number 5 and full integration omni-channel partnership deals is just continue squeezing the juice from the fruit as much as possible by using calculated risk assessments on what you think of each of their channels, based all on the starting point of what's the primary channel that you think will make a lot of money. It's like the primary channel that they use to monetize their own business. That's where you start, but continue to evolve the business from there, and you'll do amazing things with some really cool people. So here's a recap. I'd like you to walk away with a 30-day plan. If you're just starting in this, or maybe you've got a few reps under your belt, you have a few affiliates, social influencers, podcasts, YouTube content creators, full integration partnerships. So depending on where you're at on the spectrum, you could potentially move into omni-channel partnerships right away. You can move into social influencers. But if you've never started this, here's the next plan for you. Create a summary sheet of your product. And this should be like literally a one-pager. And you can put it onto a website, into a PDF, something you can reference easily for people to understand your program, what your product is, what the X factors are. The next thing you want to do, figure out your payouts. What's your customer acquisition cost? A starting point, how much I can pay somebody, because if I'm acquiring customers at this cost, then I can afford to pay someone else at that cost. Keep in mind though, if it's a pretty low payout for affiliates, it's better to actually, again, be abundance mentality rather than scarcity. Pay them a bit more, even if it's going to be above what you normally pay to acquire a customer internally through your own marketing efforts. Research 3 to 5 networks, affiliate networks being anything ClickBank, Digistore, MaxWeb. There's a bunch of different affiliate networks out there. Impact.com is another one. I'm not really endorsing any of these. I'm just naming the ones that I know. But research those networks, get onto a call with one of their account managers. They're usually really great at providing you onboarding steps. And you'd be surprised at how easy it actually is to get onto these networks and how easy it is to get in front of like thousands of affiliates right away. But the things you need to do first are the summary sheet, how much you can pay affiliates, and then research 2 to 3 platforms for organizing payouts. So let's say that you don't want to go with direct response affiliates, which is totally fine. You still should invest into some sort of platform that pays affiliates and tracks commissions for you. And again, you don't have to do this. Some people are doing this in Airtable through project management softwares and doing manual payouts, which is fine to start with. But honestly, it's just not worth it. You want to stay in your zone of genius, get someone else to do this that's more effective at it than you, and automate that process of your business from the beginning. Test them out, but look for 2 to 3, get some demos done, and then decide on one. Take action. It's action over perfection in this game, no matter what you're doing. So even if you don't like it in a few months or 6 months, you can always go with another one. You can do trial runs with them too. The next thing is to create a portal. What's a portal? It's a place on your site that says affiliates apply here. And if you're not happy with the public viewing of that and you want to keep it private, that's fine. Keep the link handy, bookmark it, and when someone asks you about your affiliate program, you can send them to that one pager that identifies the product description, how to promote, make sure they have assets, including what to say, what the main copyright or taglines are, main promises, benefits, outliers, etc. Also visuals of the product, and then how do they get an affiliate link for commissions. And then, of course, when you're working with partnerships, it's going to be a completely different game. You're going to want to have the partnerships apply here or ambassadors apply here. But those are the steps. Make sure there's somewhere they can go and sign up without you having to get involved. And then the only thing you have to do is potentially approve these affiliates as they come into your program. But that's it. Trust me, this is a recession-proof way to implement in your business to start to diversify how much money you're making from across the board, really, but in general from partnerships. Partnerships and affiliates are going to live on past that first day. They're going to be people that come back to you, want to make more sales. They're going to be people you're talking to, that you become friends with. And that's really what this is all about. This is why I love this world. So I'm excited to share a lot more advanced strategies on all these top 5 things. I'm going to break them down in the following episodes and throughout the history of this podcast. I hope you got some value from this today and implement at least one strategy. And I know you'll be thankful for it. So until next time, we'll see you then.